The clock on the kitchen wall ticked past midnight, its relentless rhythm mocking the silence that hung between us. I sat at the dining table, a single slice of store-bought cake crumbling on a plate, the candle I'd lit for myself long since burned out. My phone lay face down, ignored, its screen blank of any missed calls or apologetic texts. 38 years old today, and my wife Claire hadn't said a word. Not a card, not a glance, not even a distracted happy birthday tossed over her shoulder as she rushed out the door that morning. It wasn't the first time she'd forgotten, but this year, the weight of it crushed me. Because deep down, I knew it wasn't just a forgotten date. It was the final crack in a foundation that had been crumbling for years. The house felt too big, too empty, as I leaned back in the chair, the wood creaking under my weight. Claire's absence tonight wasn't unusual. She'd been working late for months now, her excuses as thin as the excuses I made to myself for believing them. I'd spent the day replaying our last conversation, her hurried promise to be home by 7, her distracted smile as she scrolled through her phone. I'd wanted to believe her. God, I'd wanted to. But the truth had been gnawing at me, a quiet whisper that grew louder with every unanswered call. I stood, shoving the plate away, the cake untouched. My reflection stared back from the dark window. A man with tired eyes, gray creeping into his stubble, looking older than 38. I grabbed my keys and left, the door clicking shut behind me. If Claire could forget me, maybe I'd forget to come home. The bar was a dive. All chipped wood and neon signs flickering like dying stars. I nursed a whiskey, the burn in my throat a welcome distraction from the ache in my chest. The bartender, a grizzled man with a face like worn leather, slid me another without asking. Rough night, he grunted. Rough year, I said, my voice low, barely audible over the jukebox's mournful country tune. I didn't want to talk, didn't want to unravel the mess of my marriage for a stranger. But the whiskey loosened something, and I found myself staring at my phone again, scrolling through months of one-sided texts. Me checking in, me asking about her day, me suggesting dinner plans that never happened. Her replies were always short, vague, or non-existent. I opened a photo from last summer, Claire laughing at a barbecue, her blonde hair catching the sunlight, her eyes bright in a way they hadn't been in months. I'd taken that picture, my heart full, thinking we were okay. But even then there'd been signs. The way she'd pull away from my touch, the late-night phone calls she'd taken another room, the perfume that lingered on her coat, sharper and sweeter than the one she'd worn for years. My thumb hovered over her contact. I could call her, demand answers, but what would she say? Another lie? Another, I'm sorry, work's been crazy? Instead, I opened my email, a reflex from years of managing our shared account for bills. That's when I saw it, an email from a hotel chain, a confirmation for a stay 2 weeks ago. Not in our city. Not for us. My stomach twisted as I read the details. A king suite, 1 night, booked under her name. The date matched one of her work trips. The whiskey tasted sour now. I paid my tab and stepped into the cold night, the city's hum a dull roar in my ears. I drove without thinking, the hotel's address burned into my mind. It was an hour away, a sleek glass building that screamed money and secrecy. The lobby was all marble and dim lighting, the kind of place you'd go to hide something. Or someone. Mr. Evans? The front desk clerk, a young woman with a practiced smile, looked up as I approached. I'd used my married name, hoping it would get me somewhere. Can I help you? My wife, Claire Evans, stayed here a couple of weeks ago. I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. I need to know if she was alone. Her smile faltered. I'm sorry, sir, we can't disclose guest information. Please. My voice cracked and I hated it. It's important. She hesitated, glancing at her computer. Maybe it was the desperation in my eyes, or maybe she'd seen men like me before, broken and searching for answers. I can't tell you much, she said softly, but the reservation was for 2. 2. The word hit like a punch. I thanked her, my voice hollow, and stumbled back to my car. The drive home was a blur, the road streaking under my headlights like tears. I didn't want to go back to our house, to the bed we shared, to the life that felt like a lie. But I needed proof, something to make this real. The house was dark when I got back, Claire's car still gone. I went to her office, A small room she'd claimed for work-from-home days. Her laptop sat on the desk, password protected, but I knew her habits. She kept a notebook in the drawer, filled with scribbled to-do lists and reminders. I flipped through it, my hands shaking, until I found a page dated 3 months ago. A phone number, not one I recognized, and a name, Mark. My heart stopped. Mark. Her coworker, the one she'd mentioned in passing, always with a casual laugh, like he was just a friend. I grabbed my phone and dialed the number before I could think. It rang twice before a man's voice answered, smooth and confident. Hello. Is this Mark? My voice was a growl, barely controlled. A pause. Who's this? Claire's husband. You know, the guy she's married to. Another pause, longer this time. Look, man, I don't know what you think. Don't? I snapped. Don't lie to me. I know about the hotel. I know about you. He sighed, and that sound, resigned, almost pitying, cut deeper than any confession. It's not what you think, he said, but the words were weak, a reflex. Claire and I, it just happened. She said you two were having problems. I hung up, my vision blurring. The notebook fell from my hands, pages splaying across the floor. I sank into her chair, the room spinning, my chest tight with a pain I couldn't name. Betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the lies, the excuses, the way she'd looked me in the eye and made me feel like I was the one failing her. Claire came home at 2 a.m. I heard her keys jingle, her footsteps hesitant as she noticed the kitchen light still on. She froze when she saw me at the table. The notebook open in front of me. The hotel email printed out beside it. Tom. Her voice was small, fragile. Why are you still up? You forgot my birthday, I said, my voice flat. Again. Her face crumpled, guilt flashing in her eyes before she could hide it. I'm so sorry, I meant to. Stop. I held up a hand, my voice shaking now. I called Mark. I know. She went pale, her purse slipping from her shoulder to the floor. Tom, please let me explain. Explain what? I stood, the chair scraping against the floor. How you've been lying to me for months. How you booked a hotel room with him. How you forgot me over and over because you were too busy with someone else. Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't care. Not anymore. I trusted you. I said, my voice breaking. I loved you. And you threw it away. It wasn't like that, she whispered, stepping toward me. I was lonely, Tom. You were always working, always distant. Don't you dare put this on me, I roared, the sound startling us both. I was here, Claire. I was trying. You're the one who checked out. She sobbed, covering her face, but I couldn't comfort her. Not this time. I grabbed my jacket and walked out, the door slamming behind me. The night air was cold, the stars indifferent above. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay in a house built on lies. I drove until dawn, the city giving way to open roads, the horizon streaked with pink and gold. My phone buzzed with Claire's texts, apologies and please I couldn't read. The pain was still there, raw and jagged, but so was something else, clarity. I'd spent years trying to hold us together, ignoring the cracks, pretending her distance was temporary. But it wasn't. And I couldn't anymore. I pulled over at a rest stop, the engine ticking as it cooled. In the glove compartment, I found a photo from our wedding day, tucked away like a relic. We were young, smiling, certain of forever. I traced her face with my thumb, then let the photo fall. Some things couldn't be fixed. Some betrayals couldn't be undone. As the sun rose, I made a choice. I wouldn't go back. Not to that house, not to that life. Claire had forgotten me one too many times, and now, I was done remembering her.